Chapter 46. Quarantine for Recruits Scene. A peripheral guardroom in Azkaban. The room was a stone sack in which boredom itself had been imprisoned, mixed with fear. The air was stale, smelling of cheap tobacco, burnt coffee from the machine that perpetually dispensed a drink with an aftertaste of ash, and something else, a deep cold, salty stench of despair that had seeped into the stone for centuries. The walls dripped with moisture. Somewhere in the distance, through the thick stone, came a chilling wail that made the former Hogwarts students' hearts skip a beat and their hands go cold. There were 3 of them. Elwyn Pierce, a smug Slytherin sporting his tie, trying to clean his nails with a pocketknife bearing his family crest, a last-ditch attempt to maintain status. Gemma Clotworth, a plump Hufflepuff rereading a letter from her mum for the 100th time. "Hold on, sweetie, your leave is soon," and stroking the worn corner of the photo. Arnie Bangle, a timid Ravenclaw, who for some reason had drawn up a duty rota for the entire month in advance and was now nervously rewriting it. On the table, buried under piles of the dreariest M17 daily monitoring of despair level reports, sat an ancient gramophone, their only solace. The needle hissed on the record, playing a strange, rousing, yet ominous tune. Executioner, executioner, dance, dance, the heart calls for the final fight. No one warned me it would be so damp, Gemma whined, trying to shake condensation off her cloak. Everything's soaked. Even my sandwiches. What did you expect? Elwyn snorted, eyeing his brand-new, never-used wand with an arrogant air. That there'd be pretty witches here who'd throw themselves at you for a pack of chocolate frogs? Or that Dementors are these fluffy little cuties who like having their ears scratched? Welcome to reality, Clotworth. This is Azkaban. Here, everything, including your soul, slowly grows mold. My mum wrote that you have to respect Dementors, Arnie interjected quietly, wiping his glasses on the edge of his robe. She says they can sense disrespect and might, well, become disobedient. Like banshees, but they wail from grief, and these they kind of feed on. Disobedient. Elwyn sneered. Bangle, they're not puppies. They're hoovers for emotions. Dangerous. And yeah, they'd happily suck us dry too if they sense weakness or if we lose these. He flicked his stupid wand, stupid sticks. This isn't a weapon against them, get it? It's an access badge. A trainer's whistle. A badge that says you're one of them. For now. And those exercises. Gemma stared wistfully at the barricaded window. Is that even legal? Whisking all the old guard away to some marsh of the walls to practice new salutes? Leaving us, 3 green novices, to mind the greatest prison in the world? I can't even do a decent anti-hiccup spell. Orders are orders, Elwyn shrugged, but even his voice betrayed uncertainty. Apparently, Umbridge signed it herself. A new program for team cohesion and synchronization of interpersonal dynamics. At that moment, outside the window, over the jagged walls of the fortress, a bright green rocket flared up and slowly fizzled out. All 3 jumped as one. What's that? An alarm? Arnie asked in fright, almost breaking his glasses. Dunno, Elwyn pressed his face to the window, trying to see something in the gathering dusk. Nothing in the manual about green rockets. Look! At the headland. On the far end of the island, a strange shimmer had appeared. As if a ghostly squad of Aurors in full combat gear was marching in formation, practicing drills. Their movements were perfect, too perfect, like wound-up puppets. Oh, it's reinforcements. Gemma clutched at the straw, relieved. We haven't been abandoned. Look, they're coming. Too far away, Elwyn noted gloomily. And why are they silent? No signals, nothing. When did they even land there? Then, over the internal communication system, a hoarse, strained voice came through from the central post, O'Reilly's. Attention, all posts. All posts. A signal has been received. Ahem. Of possible activity in sector. The voice cut off abruptly, replaced by a strangled, unnatural sound. Then came a few desperate, wet clicks of a switch, heavy breathing, and another, now completely wild sound, something between a sob and a gurgle. Oh, God. What is that? Someone hissed in the background. O'Reilly, you alright? And then, throughout Azkaban, from its deepest depths to its guardrooms, a powerful, invisible wave of magic rippled through. The unlocking impulse of Perkins. The effect was instantaneous and total. Throughout the building, with a roar and a clang, every door, cell, grill, and lock burst open. And so did something else. In the guardroom, for the three novices, simultaneously. Arnie Bangle's belt buckle sprang open with a loud click, and his trousers dropped to his ankles. Gemma Clotworth let out a quiet, shocked whimper and squeezed her knees together, her face flooding with a deep blush. Elwyn Pierce, with an expression of absolute, unadulterated horror on his face, slowly looked down at the rapidly spreading dark stain on his immaculately pressed robes. For a second, an eerie silence fell over the radio, broken only by a new, terrifying sound, a powerful, uncontrollable torrent from the unfortunate O'Reilly, followed by his soul-crushing groan of absolute humiliation. Then, over the airwaves, came shouts, curses, squelching, and a strangled alarm. Everyone. Oh crap, I slipped. What the bloody hell is going on? The three trainees stood, paralyzed by the double shock, from the sudden attack, and their own physiological catastrophe. Their world, the world of rules, regulations, and the grim romance of prison guarding, had crumbled in an instant, buried under an avalanche of absurdity and their own shame. I'm done, Arnie groaned, watching the candies flying overhead from the window. With candy, Elwyn muttered, staring blankly, wiping his hands on the wall with a wild look. They're attacking us. With candy. And this. Suddenly, Gemma, her face crimson but with a newfound, desperate resolve in her eyes, stood up sharply. Shedding her soiled robe, she sobbed out. I can't take any more. I'm flying out. To those horrors. At least they're real. Without looking at the boys, she dashed into the corridor, now filled with the chocolate fog, grabbed the first broom she saw from the emergency kit propped against the wall, and, pushing off desperately from the caramel-slicked floor, flew along the corridor towards the exit, losing her wand along the way. She flew, blind with panic, past the howl of dementors overwhelmed by the sweet smell. Past open cell doors and guards desperately trying to salvage what was left of their dignity amidst unimaginable chaos. She flew towards that ghostly squad on the headland, towards her salvation, towards normality, towards order. And then she was there. Gasping, covered in chocolate and tears, she landed at the cliff's edge. And froze. There was no squad, only a dense, shimmering illusion. A dozen or so dementors stood in a semicircle, staring with dull, mesmerized attention at the empty space where the phantoms had been marching. And in the center of the illusion, practicing that very same idiotic salute with the wand toss, was Tonks. Her double was perfect. Every movement, precise, sharp, energetic. Her skin glowed with a faint blush, her hair billowed in the non-existent wind. She caught the wand with her left hand, tossed her head back, and shouted with an absolutely sincere, almost manic smile. For the law and prosperity. It was the most terrifying and the most perfect mockery Gemma had ever seen in her life. Her saviors were a mirage. Her last hope had turned out to be a derisive parody, watched by the most terrifying creatures in the magical world. She sank to her knees on the cold stone, unable to utter a